if we say next bike Polska, Poland is 37 million people. And this guy, all three CEOs, his team is running towards 3 million rides in year 2024 as of today. So beginning of June, running towards 3 million rides, and the season just started basically. Sorry for the...
That's correct. That's correct. Just to close it with, we are expecting like around 12 or 50 million rides this year annually, and next year we're gonna just cross 100 million rides for the last 12 years actually. Yeah, but thank you for having me here. I know Polish is like a very unknown market, and CE is basically something a little bit different, and I need to take a step back. Like, the last decade in Poland was basically the time where we're trying to convince people that cycling can be just transportation mode. Believe me, when I was meeting the people 12 years ago, and just say like, hey, we have a bike sharing system that is like a kind of transportation mode, which you can combine with the buses and trams, but looking at me like, there's not sport like a trade. It's like, transportation phase, right? So the last decade in Poland basically was a time when we're convincing people for like a cycling actually as a transportation mode. Starting like in 2011, we was like 117,000 rides annually. Next year, 500,000, then 2 million. Right now, we're doing around 50 million annually, running the biggest system with 7,000 bikes in Silesia region in Poland. But yeah, there was like really a lot of effort to change the mind of people to that cycling can be transportation modes. Right now, we are supporting the employers and the market on like a different, like, I would say, perspectives. Like, first of all, bike sharings are meant for like a government as a fulfillment for the transportation system. We are running 18,000 bikes in Poland, and we have like over 100 private stations. What does it mean? If the city is like managing or like ordering the bike sharing system, we are partnering with the shopping malls, with the office buildings, where they like finance the additional stations in the front of the building, so the employers can just actually execute the door-to-door trip in the morning to just get on the bike to the tram, metro, whatever. It's like a thing, and then like get directly to the office with this bike. 120, I would say, stations, we have the private ones,
which would not be available and existent if you wouldn't have approached the employers, and employers wouldn't be willing to say join bike sharing.
Absolutely. Yeah. The biggest example of supporting the employers, we're partnering for 8 years with the benefit system, is a company in Poland that provides the benefits cards for the employers, which means they can use the sport facilities, cinemas for extra money that they get it from the employers. For the 8 years, we give to the employees like an extra benefit, which means they have like a 1 hour free every trip, and it's like a financed by the employers. They have like a 1,900,000 subscriptions in Poland. So basically, those people can make like an additional 1 million rentals a year. I think over the years, like, we don't have to convince people anymore that cycling is like, really like a cool thing for them. Their company that's probably, for example, supporting also the employers with, there's a very famous like a payment provider in Sopot in Poland, who is like a pay, whoever comes to the work on bike, for each kilometer, they get 25 cents. Which means
not
like
the government, not the reimbursement that we know from Netherlands, from Belgium. A private company is paying their employees when they come by. Wow.
Absolutely. But I think like the biggest advantage is the cities where they're combining bike sharing system with the public transport, which we face in a few cities where subscriptions people can use the bikes for free, which means if someone is a loyal user of the public transport, they have additional service bikes available for free. And I think that's a game changer. Really, that set bike sharing as a transportation mode.
That means that a lot of the work commuting rides are being done through your fleet of bikes as well. For Tero and for Olivier, can you give us a little bit of update on your numbers? So how many bikes you have out there? How many honorable employee companies you have with as your customers? How is the rate of growth, for instance? Where do you stand? Because we've heard from someone within the industry as well.
So at the moment we have over 18,000 bikes in our fleet. So,
So 80,000
yeah.
80,000 are all in all in Finland.
Yes.
18 out of that are
Yeah.
Vapaus branded.
About 25.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yes.
At the moment, and it has been increasing quite fast. If we look from financials, so our turnover was 4.5 in 21, and the last year was 30.4. So it has been increasing really heavily during the year.
Good job.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think it's a combination of commuting and having a bike as a hobby as well, where we are in Finland. About let's say that about 40%, a bit over 40% use the bike on daily or at least several times a week.
so 4 out of 10 your users, so the employees,
Yes.
are using the bike daily or at least
For the commuting.
yes,
Yeah.
commuting.
And at least 80% every now and then. But some users use it for other purposes, shopping, mountain biking, anything like that. So it's a combination of different things for different users. But we are really glad that about 80% have increased their cycling because of the benefit bike. And actually they are cycling 5 times more than average Finn. So
And that is data you collect through feedback, review, customer.
Yeah, customer survey basically.
Okay.
Having about 4,500.
So these are numbers that you can even communicate towards the governments again, building up on the advantages and stuff like that. And maybe for the folks from other markets as well, because I mean Finland is unique. Every country is unique, but still there might be some overall patterns. How does it compare with France, Olivier?
Yeah, so far we at the night we the company about 400 employers. In France, it's about 6,000 bikes in fleet, so the market is still national.
Yes. Even elephants are born small. Even elephants are born small.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
And but it's growing fast, about 100% per year. We've seen the market bending and bending. There's a lot of regulatory schemes that have evolved in the last year, and that really helped to embark more and more employers in this kind of benefit. Yeah.
Do you have some data on the usage as well? For instance, like Taro mentioned.
What we see, the most important figures for me is that about 70% of people who choose to take a bike with their employer, they said explicitly that they would not have take a bike otherwise if the employer had not put this scheme in place. And for half of them, it's really for the purchasing power issue that they couldn't afford the average price of any bike, and that's why I always tend to employer that they have the power to change the habits of the employee. They really have the ability to trigger the change, and they should use this power to change the habits for bikes.
Actually, one thing to add, so almost half say that they have reduced the number of kilometers driven by car because of the benefit bikes. They estimate that it's about 40 kilometers per week reduction on the usage of cars. So that's really something that we are proud of our users as well, that they are active, they are making the change on daily basis and creating the impact.
So it's not only about getting a bike that I would otherwise not afford, not spend the money on, but really this is driving a change of behavior.
It is. It's a combination of those.
So how do you promote these benefits to your customers? And let's be fair, your customers and other companies, because this is who you sign the contracts with, even for special stations. How do they react over the last, if you go through your sales process over the last few months, for instance, not to go too far, what clicked? Who was saying, oh, I already heard from other companies like this works, customer satisfaction. How does it play?
Yeah, I think it's really much the ESG being high on the agenda for the companies, and they are having targets for reducing CO2 emissions and providing different mobility services for the employees as well. So that's really high on the agenda of the companies at the moment. So we have had a good amount of inbound, but we need to be active on sales, of course, to get the rest on board. Or from that side. And maybe one thing that we have been making a bold move is the flexibility of the leasing period, because usually it's about 3 or 4 years, the leasing time of the e-bike, for example. Bike is worth about 3,200 euros in average. So we are basically saying that you can change the bike or you can return the bike even within the leasing period if you don't need it.
It sounds quite a unique approach of Apple's, because
it is.
I'm a little bit of knowledge of the market, but this is something that is your ingredients. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and that is making it easier for companies and employees to get the bike in the first place.
Yeah,
but I left.
You still have you let them run away with ride away with the flexibility.
Yeah, it is.
That's interesting. How does it sound to both of you, gentlemen? Is it something that you are going to introduce immediately at Zendrax?
Giving flexibility on the lens and the drive.
Or you can change or return the bike during the leasing time.
Sorry?
You can return the bike or change the bike.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a question we have with any companies. The first question, I think, we have 100% of prospects ask us, what happens if my employee leaves during the contract? What happens? So giving the flexibility is obviously the most important question, and we've brought services in the offer to bring that, so that the employee can interrupt the contract within the 3 year, and have it as smooth as possible between the employee and the employer. And the French market has been so far very structured on a 3 year duration. But I think that will evolve, and that will answer the flexibility that employers need. And to answer your first question, what drives the employers, and if I look back on the 6 years we've been operating at Zenoride, at first 2018, 19, it was really about ESG, about the environmental issue that really drive the company at the time, especially just after the COVID. We had a strong economic growth after, and we saw more and more employers, as you said, try to compete between themselves by providing more benefit than the other, and so really being able to recruit, to retain talent was really a strong driver. And more recently, more and more employers just being conscious that there are purchasing power issue for the employees, especially in the industry where there are lower wages. And that really bring them to question about the mobility, daily mobility, and how they can help their employees. So it's a mix of the three. But what's for me the most important one is the health and the well-being of the employee. That's the most difficult to measure. But that's what they see every day. They see smile from the employee on the morning, and that's what we try to send to HR. Smile twice a day, and that's the most important.
Yeah, and I agree completely with that one, because you need to have benefits from day one, basically. And
it's a very good point. Yeah, from day one, it's probably visible with your special stations.
That's true, but like very likely, a very interesting thing we noticed. Obviously, pandemic has changed everything. The game. People stayed home, working from home, and employers right now trying to find out the way how to convince people to come back to the office. So very interesting, like a survey. We've done 2 of them, and I saw another 2 last year. 57% of employees expect the employer to provide them some transportation benefits, which means they can go from home to the office. So pay me for that. This is something new. This is something that haven't existed before. So on the other hand, we see like a 60% of people that are expecting that the sharing systems will be developed more by the cities. So I think we meet in this moment to expectation for the employer and the employers, how to connect them too, right? Bike sharing system are like a one of the way only, but I think that's a very popular in Poland, like a benefits beside the salary.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a one of the trick. The employers want to get employees back, right? We can provide basically the way they can get to the office. So that's very interesting after the pandemic time. We noticed actually.
Can you imagine, Tomek, to stepping into the industry of Terra and Olivier? That means providing on top of bike sharing a subscription or employee benefit bikes that are really individualized, tailor-made. And the other way around, they come over to you. Do you see bike sharing all in all as a competition for the markets of mile or kilometers driven, or is there some different relationship?
If I might start, I think it's like a natural way of extension, like a next steps. What we see right now, the cities are honoring the like a bike sharing system, which is like a short trips from A to B, but also it provides for a few cities right now like a long-term rentals, which means not for employees only, but everyone can rent a bike for like a month, 2 or something. So which means having the warehouse, having the service people, we can provide both services right now. So the city is going like a next step. I think there's like a natural evolution. You can provide both actually. Yeah. Even in some like a smart shop in the middle of town where you can just fix the bikes or like make a long-term rentals. Usually we used to have like a rentals for like a 12 hours of 1 day for the people where we can just like bring the bike, cargo bike or like a tandem bike, for example, for the couples going for the wedding or we had like an excellent experience in such events. So basically we're running already 2 businesses, right? The scale obviously is different and it's not like a competing with still police. But I think it's like a natural extension of this business model that goes like, you still have the same assets as resources. You can provide both, right? So I think you can just like cover 2 needs, like a long-time employers, or like a rentals and like a short. Bike sharing is a completely different industry. I always say like, people are saying, I don't use it because I have a own bike. They're asking, do you have a car? Yes. Do you use the cab sometimes? Yes.
Fine parallel.
So like this is always mean of need in a particular moment. So don't exclude one just for another just because, right?
Right. Interesting. How about you guys?
Yeah. I think we are in a great position from that point of view that we are still baking the cake and creating the market for different kind of biking services, for example. And I think these different business models support each other, and it's about.
This is what I love to hear. Yeah, this is all about support and growing the market.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And for example, having possibility to try out the e-bike at the office, whether it's your service or our service or anything like that during the working day, and then commit to a bit longer time to have a bike for yourself.
That's good.
So,
good. Thank you. Very good point there. Yeah, Olivier, please. That will be a closing.
Almost the same. But for me, it's really about bending the market, educating the market. We have a strong bike sharing industry in France, short term, but also mid term, 3 to 6 months rental.
Yeah, that's true. Paris Veligo.
Like Veligo in the Paris area, but in many other areas in France, heavily subsidized by public fund. And for me, it's really good because it educates the market. I always think of the customer journey. People who are not used to take a bike every day, they need bike sharing to discover what an e-bike is. Then they need a mid-term rental to discover what an e-bike, how an e-bike is useful in your daily journey to go to work, to go to shop, to go to school. And then on the long term, they want their own bike and they find a way to finance it with the employer. So we are really supporting each other and educating and building the market on different terms. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, sure. I always wondering why I get this question. Like, how do you see the competition of them or like e-scooters towards the bikes? I don't think even it's like a market. It's like more like an ecosystem, right? It's like, let's say like if you go to the bar and you have a bar and you have only one G, right? And you can drink only G. That's not so sexy, but you have a G, whiskey, vodka, cocktail, beer, and so you have a whole ecosystem you can choose from. That's like,
depending on how your day was going.
Exactly. So I would say that rather we should like ask the question how we can like support, like fulfill this, like combine like a value proposition for the users. Then if they have like a really choice, they can really give up the cars, right?
Oh, that's very important.
It's like not enough. I see. It's like this courage to give them access to the ecosystem, not only one transportation mode. This is like a use for employees for a long time or like employees. There is a different for touristic, for like a fun or so on. So let's join the forces and think about not the market but ecosystem that is like 1 + 1 will be 3 in this case.
At least. Well, thank you. That's a round of applause for you. Thank you for the patience. Thank Terra, Olivier, and Tomek. This was a wonderful panel on an industry that is still in the very early days.
Age.
Thank you very much.
Okay.